Hikaru, you're in Riyadh for the eSports World Cup finals. How's the feeling?
Yeah, it's an exciting experience. It's definitely different from a lot of the chess tournaments that I've played in recent memory. So really just looking forward to it. But the atmosphere is good, a lot of fans, and should be an exciting event.
Did you manage to catch maybe some of the other esports events taking place here?
No, I mean it would be nice if I had, but I only came here 2 days ago, so haven't really had the opportunity to follow anything. I did, at least online, watch some of the last chance qualifiers for chess, but as far as other games go, I just haven't had the time.
You were one of the players who qualified to the esports World Cup finals with the Champions Chess Tour qualifiers. And here you saw the LCQ taking place. Which would you say was the tougher path to qualify?
I think that probably the last chance qualifier in a way was much harder because there were groups of players. You had to survive the groups, and you had to survive multiple matches. So I think surviving the last chance qualifier and making it to last 16 in some ways was quite a bit harder than the actual Chess Champions Tour with the two events.
And you're here part of Team Falcon, who are, of course, there are a lot of fans here of Falcon. And tell us a little bit about how that collaboration began for you.
Yeah, so initially there were a couple other organizations that reached out to me. But right before the freestyle event in Germany, Team Falcons reached out to my team, and it was actually a very straightforward conversation. I think it was already kind of known at that point that Magnus was out of the equation, so just had a couple of conversations. It was, like I said, very, very smooth. There wasn't a whole lot. In the way of like disagreements or anything along the ways. There wasn't a ton of negotiations. It was just it's pretty good fit from the get go, and just very excited to be a part of this team, which is competing, of course, as well for the overall trophy as a team.
And we have sort of a unique time control here, which is 10+0, which is not something very popular in online chess. Like I don't think I don't know that if many top players are playing it.
Right.
Yeah. But here it is being played. And what do you think about this time control in general?
So I think 10+0 is very tricky because you feel like you have a lot of time, but you also don't. I think that's going to be the big challenge, is managing your time correctly to avoid getting too low very early on in the game. That being said, I actually do like the control. I think, as someone who grew up in the US, where having delay or increment, since both have been used, was just not a thing when I was younger. And I think in many ways, it's a good thing, from a philosophical standpoint, as someone who's played a lot without increment or without added time in general. I would say that I think that, having increment or delay, as they use in the US quite oftentimes, it helps you to avoid getting punished when you have bad time management. I think that for me, if you have bad time management, you should get punished. You should lose games. And I think increment allows players to basically overcome that. And I think it's a shame that that's the case. And I don't just say this because I think my results without increment are better, but I think that as a pure game, it's better when you have no added time. I think you have more mistakes. You have to be more cognizant of your time situation, and managing your time should, I think, be one of the biggest priorities, especially as it relates to blitz and rapid chess. So I'm a big fan of the no increment here.
And also, I think it comes down to mouse skills. Yes, at some point you have to have some sort of skills there as well, because there's no increment.
Yeah, but again, this comes back also to the philosophical discussion. Chess is here as part of the eSports World Cup. If you look at traditional chess, I think you'd be very hard pressed to argue that chess could be a sport, let alone an esport. Yes. And I think that if you don't have the component with the needing mouse skills, being able to move quickly, then why should chess be a part of the eSports World Cup at all? I don't think it should be, if you're not going to end up in a situation where some kind of digital or electronic component isn't involved. So I think it's great, because otherwise, yeah, I know it probably sounds very negative, but if you don't have to have mouse skills and time doesn't matter, and you have these 2 or 3 second increments like some of these over the board tournaments, then chess shouldn't be part of the eSports World Cup. So I think it's very good that they're using this time control.
And we have sort of a similar situation as Freestyle Las Vegas here, with big arena and crowd watching. Of course, there's live commentary as well with the games while the games are going on. How do you think about the whole situation? And did you take a look at the arena today?
So, I mean, there are a couple things. Obviously, I've already spoken about this a little bit, but I think, the first important thing to look at as we talk about freestyle and the Esports World Cup is, first of all, the expectations, and also how is the event sort of being pitched? What are they saying? So when we look at freestyle, this is probably why I have great disappointment in terms of the way things have turned out. Is that at the start, if you go back to February, even World Blitz and Rapid, whenever it is, freestyle was billing itself as a classical event for Fischer random chess, with basically as sort of a competitor to FIDE. So that's what it was. That's what was we were told as players what the vision was of how the events and what freestyle was. And that changed very quickly. You fast forward to Paris. They, I think, added 2 players, if I'm not mistaken, and then they also changed it to sort of, I think it was a quicker format. I mean, it was like 1 hour, 45 minutes. I forgot what it was, but it was quicker than the event in Germany. And then when you go to Las Vegas, they made it even quicker. It was straight up 30 minutes. Then you had the 10-minute games. The format was very complicated. So when you look at that, with freestyle coming out and saying they were going to be competitors of FIDE, be better than FIDE, all these sorts of things. And then the reality was, in many ways, I would argue the organization was worse than what I've seen from FIDE, with all the changes in the format, time controls, this, that, the other thing. The expectation versus the reality was very different. So when we talk about the Esports World Cup, however, I would say there's 0 expectations. When you look at this event, my understanding is there's no input from, say, chess.com or chess people specifically. It's very much an event that's being run by people without experience in the game of chess. So when it's being run by people without experience, first of all, you are expecting errors to happen. But while you're expecting errors to happen, I think you're much more accepting of that, because these are not hardened chess professionals, people who've been around the game for 20, 30 years. So you kind of, you deal with it in a different kind of way than with freestyle, where there are plenty of people directly involved with the organization who've played a lot of chess. Having said that, I do have some concerns about the fact that with this event, there will be noise. There are going to be a lot of fans, and the angling of where the chairs are and the computers, it's very easy to look into the audience. So I do have some concerns. I think, if I'm going to be very candid, I feel like a lot of this is being driven by Magnus to push chess in this direction, where he's trying to have it both ways. He wants it to be like viewer-friendly entertainment, but then also serious chess. And I think a couple of players here already said some things about this event, and I am concerned that chess is going in a certain direction where Magnus is trying to have his cake and eat it too. So I'll just say that, and it does concern me. But that being said, I think this is the first time for the event. I do think that if there are issues, they will be corrected going forward. So maybe there will be issues, maybe there won't be. It's very hard to judge. But I do have some concerns.
Coming to a bit of a different topic, online chess is of course something which, you were one of the pioneers who started streaming online chess. I know that you were playing online chess from a long time in ICC, then Chess.com and different platforms. Back then, when you first started playing it, how was it? And now that online chess is almost considered a different beast of its own, very different from, let's say, regular chess, and now it's being part of eSports World Cup as well. What do you think of the evolution?
Yeah, I think for me, it's great to see the rise of esports in general. I think without the Esports World Cup, chess would not be a part of something bigger. For a long time, I believed actually that chess, as great as it is as a standalone game or sport or whatever you want to call it, it actually, I think, functions the best when it's part of something bigger than just chess. Very specifically, what this event reminds me of is that many years ago, probably already like 12, 13 years ago, I played an event in China. It was the Mind Sports Games World Championship, whatever it was. It was Mind Sports. So it was like you had Go, you had Chinese chess, you had shogi, you had all these different games, and that's what this kind of reminds me of a little bit. But seeing it here as part of the Esports World Cup, it's great. I think that for online chess, it's been around for a very long time, and to see it actually. You see basically these games with no increment, fast time control, stuff that I grew up on. being so popular, it's definitely a big positive for chess, and hopefully the event goes off without a hitch, and hopefully there are many new fans who like the game.
Thank you so much, Hikaru, for your time, and best wishes to you and your team Falcons.
Thank you.